This morning, the FAA looking at why a Learjet decided to take off without permission, nearly causing a catastrophic crash. According to the FAA, air traffic control telling that pilot to wait before taking off because a JetBlue plane was landing on an intersecting runway.
Going to land 4 right, JetBlue 206.
But even after acknowledging the message, the FAA says the Learjet pilot took off anyway, forcing the JetBlue plane to go from 87 feet.
RF mute. Is that okay? Okay, that's weird. Silly microphone. Okay.
We've got you covered. This is 27 News at 11.
Well, it's the first day of March, and it's the first time some of us could maybe hit 50 degrees today. Kind of good news, right? Good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Mark Charter. 27 Storm Track meteorologist Alexis Clemens is here, leading us off with an early look at our forecast. Yes, Alexis, fingers crossed for that big 5-0, right?
Yeah, and you know what? Now we have some sunshine here at 11 o'clock this morning. Temperatures are starting to warm up. I do think it looks very, very possible that we're going to hit 50 later on this afternoon. Look at that. We're already at 41. That's a good sign if you want to hit 50 later on today. A little bit cooler up north, 36 in Montello, 35 in Camp Douglas, but 40 in Lone Rock, Monroe, and Watertown, 43 in Janesville already, 42 in Prairie du Chien. Now, we did see a little bit of a wintry mix overnight, and some of that system is trying to fall in our northern counties right now, so near Juneau and Adams County into Sauk County as well. If it is reaching the ground, it's very light, not creating any issues, but it's something that you might see. We are seeing some breaks in the clouds, though. All that sunshine and a nice wind out of the southwest going to help warm us up through our day today. The system that brought us a little wintry mix, it's moving on out of here. What we're really going to be monitoring is this one. It's in California right now, and it is going to provide a good snow chance for some of us as we go towards Friday. But for your Wednesday, a high temperature of 50 expected with some sunshine this afternoon. I'll have a look at your full forecast coming up in just a bit.
Alexis, thank you. This morning, Madison police are investigating after a man made some threats on social media and mentioned UW-Madison. This tip to police came from the FBI. 27's Melody Guernsey has been following this one. She's got more about the case.
Thomas Hansen was arrested after mentioning weapons and the UW-Madison campus on social media. These comments are being considered terroristic threats. According to the criminal complaint, the FBI received a tip about someone who was talking about bringing guns into Bascom Hall. Hansen posted, "I'm getting to that point where I think I should stop trying to date and start sneaking guns into crowded buildings." The second comment said, "You're cool, don't go to Bascom Hall next week." Hansen was taken into custody at an off-campus apartment on Grand Avenue. He told officers what he wrote was just a joke. The 26-year-old made an initial appearance in Dane County Court, and his defense attorney argued that pretrial services is appropriate in this case.
Mr. Hansen is a UW-Madison student. He's having his master's in electrical engineering. He's basically a class or two away from graduating in terms of his ties and the commitment to the area in terms of his ties. He has his sister lives with her boyfriend in Madison. His parents live in the Fond du Lac area. He's been in the Madison area. He was here at undergrad, had a job in Houston, and came back for grad school.
The defense also acknowledged that Hansen was cooperative with police so they could recover his revolver-style handgun that Hansen owns. The judge ordered a signature bond and said that Hansen could only return to campus with a written letter from the university's dean. Hansen is set to be back in court on March 24th. In front of the Dane County Courthouse, Melody Guernsey, 27 News.
It's been nearly 3 months now since Ronald Henry mysteriously disappeared from a farmhouse in rural Grant County. And for the first time, the man who last saw him is speaking about that disappearance. Tyler Daly says he and Henry knew each other for years. He says on the night he went missing, Henry was complaining of hearing dogs and people outside. He also said Henry was talking to a woman on Facebook that he thinks was not a real person.
Yeah, she even said she'll come pick me up. First day he's missing. I assumed that that's where he went when I left. I was like, oh, he probably snuck over to that girl's house.
When asked about the woman Ronald was messaging, Grant County Sheriff Nate Dreckman said simply, "That's all been looked into." Tonight, the Fitchburg Police Department is inviting you to a community meeting to get some updates on activity in the West District. The meeting will focus on updates on police department events and news, crime trends, and prevention tips as well. You can also ask the department questions and share concerns. The meeting starts at 5:30 at Redeemer City Church in Fitchburg. We turn now to that breaking news from overseas, a deadly train disaster in Greece. More than 30 people killed and dozens more injured when 2 trains crashed into each other head-on. ABC's Marcus Moore brings us the latest.
Overnight, a deadly train crash in Greece as a freight train and passenger train collide head-on. The accident happening near Tempe, a city north of Athens. The fatal crash and derailment killing at least 36 people and injuring 85. According to the Hellenic Train Company, their train had departed from Athens en route to Thessaloniki, and about 350 passengers were on board at the time of the crash. Sturgis Meninis, a passenger who survived the accident, describing it. There was panic, he said. For 10-15 seconds, it was chaos. People screaming, people trapped. Nearly 200 emergency responders rushing to the scene, urgently evacuating people after at least 3 carriages caught fire. Rescuers wearing headlamps, pulling pieces of twisted metal from the cars, searching for people trapped inside. This passenger narrowly escaping. A fire had erupted next to us, he said. This man here saw a hole, so we managed to get out from where we were. We have learned that of the hundreds of passengers on board these trains, many of them were students returning from Greece's carnival celebrations. The investigation into this crash is just beginning as officials try to understand how these 2 trains ended up on the same tracks, headed straight at each other at high speed. Marcus Moore, ABC News, London.